Typography is revolutionary, aiding the forces of physical insurgency and the upheaval of cultural norms. Changes in Russian orthography are the reason why you have trouble reading what's printed on your fancy craft beer, difficulty with what's written next to icons or in Russian Orthodox churches, and no clue what is written on this church wall in Zagreb, Croatia. In this video, we will discuss some of the major changes to Russian orthography, or how the system of linguistic symbols and spelling has changed over time. We begin our story with Constantine the philosopher and his brother Methodius of Solun, who were sent by the Byzantine Emperor Mikhail III to create a streamlined script for the Slavonic translation of Greek religious texts, sometime in the year 863 CE. In doing so, Emperor Mikhail attempted to undermine the nearby Bulgarian Empire by introducing Greek sympathies. Thus, the first revolutionary script was born. But it wasn't Cyrillic, it was Glagolitic. Cyril and Methodius had a number of students working with them on the edge of the Bulgarian Empire, which is now modern-day Macedonia. It is widely believed that one of these students, Clement of Ohrid, is the one who created the early Cyrillic script, which much more closely resembles the modern Russian script today. Fast forward about 1,000 years, and Russia has a new ruler who is infatuated with Western European culture. Right after founding the city of St. Petersburg, Peter the Great decided to make a number of changes to the Russian alphabet, reforming some letters to look more like Latin letters, and getting rid of other letters altogether. It is also worth noting that Peter the Great abolished Cyrillic numbers as well, instead opting for the traditional mix of Roman numerals and Arabic numbers. These reforms signified a major split between the Russian government and the Orthodox Church, which continues to use the early Slavonic alphabet and numeral system today. In this way, Peter the Great solidified his power and moved the nation in a new direction, not so much toward a Christian Rome, but Rome the Empire. This set a precedent for the next great upheaval in power, which came a few hundred years later in 1917, when the Bolsheviks gained control of the Russian government. On December 23, 1917, the chair of the People's Commissars for Education, Anatoly Lunacharsky, published a decree entitled On the Introduction of a New Orthography, which detailed their plans to change the Russian alphabet. 4 letters would be deleted from the alphabet completely, and the letter yer, or hard sign, would no longer be put at the end of a word. Just imagine that this is the last newspaper that you see before the winter holiday, and that this is the first newspaper you see on January 3rd after the new year. Granted, many publications, including Izvestia, the leading Bolshevik newspaper, reverted back to the old style after a few days. By October 26th of the same year, however, all publications followed the new orthographical rules. Despite the ban on typewriters with the old alphabet, different publications continued to make errors by using the old letters well into 1919. Some publications abroad continued to use the old system well into the 1970s. Now let's take a look at some of the implications of the reforms. For one, the new system was much more economical without the ending hard sign. Tolstoy's War and Peace reduced down from a 3 hefty volume set to just 2. In a much broader sense, the reforms helped the new ruling Communist Party consolidate their power and put the country on a new path, disconnected from the Tsarist era. It may seem strange at first to compare the motives of Peter the Great to those of Lenin, but the revolutionary power of orthography shows just how important the spelling of a language truly is. Let's take a closer look at some of the pre-reform letters. We'll start with I deseterichnoe, whose name comes from the fact that it was once a Cyrillic number. It looks like a Latin I and can be found in many places in Russia today. This letter sounds like I, and the grammatical rule is that it comes before a vowel or the letter ikratkoe, with the 2 exceptions of the words Mir and Vladimir. Next is the letter Yat, which can be found on old kopeki coins and in this poem, which used to help students remember how to use it. It sounds like Ye, and here are some of the most common grammatical rules for using this letter. Next is the letter Theta, which is borrowed from Greek. Although it looks like theta, it was always pronounced with an F sound. Its usage mostly pertains to foreign words and geography. Finally, we have the letter Ijitsa, which resembles the lowercase Greek upsilon. It is generally pronounced as I, and by 1917, there were only a handful of words that even used the letter at all. Interestingly, however, the Soviets continued to manufacture trains branded with this letter until 1931. One last bit of interesting history is that in 1942, the Soviet-controlled newspaper Pravda announced that all publications should always print the 2 diacritical dots over the letter Yo. It is rumored that this was because Stalin, who was Georgian, couldn't remember which letters were Ye and which were Yo. Fast forward to today, and the letter Yo has taken on its own cult of personality, with several sculptures dedicated in its honor located in cities across Russia. In Chelyabinsk, there is even a temple where pilgrims of the letter Yo can visit. In general, pride for the older orthographical systems is re-emerging in Russia today. Restaurants and shops that want to seem fancy will use the pre-1917 reformed spelling. In St. Petersburg, there is even a yacht cafe. This is not to say that everyone is using the pre-reform spelling correctly, however. The most common mistake is that the ending hard sign is wrongly replaced with the letter yat. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this video and found it useful. My question for you, the audience, is, what is your favorite pre-Reformation letter? Let us know in the comments, and be sure to give us a like and a subscribe. Until next time, пока!